What's going on there, guys? Good evening. Good Sunday evening. It's the Earthmaster here on this beautiful Sunday night, December 18th, 2022. It is about 7:36 p.m. here along the West Coast in California, and the latest quake shows a 1.6 up in Alaska. Looks like it disappeared, but it is up there on the latest map. Also a 3.2 over here around the Indonesia area. Seeing a little bit of swarming kicking off here throughout the day today. Also a little bit of activity down around New Zealand, Kermadec Trench area. For the most part, the quiet zones have been over here along the west coast, aside from a little bit of activity there off the coast of the Baja California region. All right, so before we get into the earthquake activity, I want to talk about an Arctic storm that's coming down into the center portion of the country. This is going to bring with it some extremely cold air. Not a whole lot of precipitation as it brings with that colder air, at least for the southern plains area. Just a lot of cold air and some wind in that mix. So it all kind of begins on Wednesday of next week. Now, these are the actual air temperatures here. Not next week, but this coming week here. This Wednesday. We got this massive pull of cold air coming down from the north, from Canada, bringing with it some sub-zero temperatures. Now, this is in the Fahrenheit here. Now, this is about Wednesday, the 21st at 5 p.m. Check out some of those temperatures. That's some serious stuff there. Those are some cold temperatures. Something we'll never see here in California, at least not here in the Sacramento Valley. So I want to go to about noon, around 11 or so, noon or so, on Thursday, the 22nd. Now, notice that cool air pulling in way down south of these states that normally see this typical type of environment. We're talking about Kansas, Oklahoma City, even Texas getting in on that much, much colder air. Notice temperatures here across Kansas around noontime in the negative. Dallas, 25 degrees for an afternoon high, right around Thursday the 22nd. Now, let's go ahead and zoom into about, let's check out Friday or so around noon time. We'll see that air start to shift off a little bit. There's a massive low pressure system that is going to bring a pretty good amount of snow up into these portions of the states. But I think Thursday or so, that's when the peak of the cold air is going to be here into the plain states, stretching all the way down in the portions around Dallas, Texas, Abilene, Lubbock area. This is noontime temperatures in the low 20s here around Dallas. That's pretty cold. That's really cold, actually. So yeah, it's going to be a cold one. Not a whole lot of precipitation with this area, with this cold air coming down. A look at the snow accumulation here. Next 5 days or so. We can go the next 10 days. Notice there's not a lot here coming down with that cold air. That's all you got. Just cold air and probably some wind, but no accumulated snowfall, at least in Texas, maybe northern Oklahoma and portions of Kansas over the next 10 days. And, of course, over towards the areas here around the Great Lakes, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, supposed to be getting some pretty hefty rain or heavy snowfall totals there with upwards. It looks like around 20 or 24 inches or so of a snowfall over here in the West Coast. A little bit of activity throughout the Sierra Nevada, but the big deal is going to be this low pressure system that is going to be funneling down. Let me show you this symbol here. And watch this massive low pressure system here as I put this into motion. We'll see this kind of build up here right above Montana, it looks like, and then just really drops down some extremely low pressure gradients here, inducing that cold air environment into the southern plains and, of course, portions of the Midwest. And the further east and north you are, you'll get more precipitation up here. But definitely looking cold for those folks. After that, it kind of scoots off. We're under an extremely dominant high-pressure area out here along the West Coast, and that is not good. High pressure obviously means dry weather, not looking at any rainfall, at least for the next few days. We do expect that to change. That is not cold. It's centered right over my area. But we do expect that to change a little bit Towards the end of next week. It's not really showing it here on this model. There's a couple different models that are showing a little change in that high pressure gradient. So hopefully, unless it's changed since the last time I looked at it. Either way, get ready for some cold, much colder air across the regions there of Kansas, Nebraska, Texas. You guys are looking at some very cold temperatures. All right, getting in onto the earthquake activity. We do have a little bit of movement kicking up here right now on Hawaii, the Big Island. Looks like most of the activity there confined to the Pahala area. A 2.1, the latest earthquake there at 31 kilometers deep. Very typical movement here in the Pahala area. This movement has been ongoing since about the early 60s or so, since they've been monitoring it. There's been this consistent swarm of earthquake activity, roughly about the same depth, same magnitudes there. In the past, like I say, past 50 years or so. It's just been ongoing, 60 years actually, been ongoing around this region for quite a while. The Mauna Loa and Kilauea volcano areas, nothing really showing up across the area far as any earthquakes being reported, but I will give a quick glance here across the area of Mauna Loa for the seismograph stations and see what we're having here. Let me back out of that one. It kind of looks like, I'll zoom in here just a little bit. It kind of looks like, to me anyway, that some of that earthquake swarming that we were seeing here at the area of Mauna Loa summit has died off, and now has been replaced with some windy conditions. If I remember right, there's supposed to be a pretty good wind event across the area. Now let me check. Let me bring up the windy map here real quick again and check out this the wind gust map here across the area. Look at that massive, pretty significant low pressure system here. It looks like spinning around, kicking up quite a bit of winds around the Big Island. This is right now supposedly, but I know we're supposed to get some major winds coming in over these peaks, and that's definitely got to remember Mauna Loa much higher in the air than the surrounding island here of the Big Island. Gusts are supposed to be much higher than that. I read some reports of gusts upward around 100 miles per hour or so at the summit of Mauna Loa. So things are going to look pretty crazy on the seismograph over the next couple days. We'll continue to check that. But man, this only showing about 54 miles per hour. But even so, that's still pretty windy. And that's thanks to a large low pressure system out here spinning off. Of course, counterclockwise here in the northern hemisphere, and stirring up quite a bit of weather out there around the Big Island. So that's probably what we're seeing right now across the Mauna Loa area. Notice the thickness of these lines here, indicating that environmental noise, the outside interference. All right, let's see what else we have. West Coast activity. Make sure we got the latest updated info here. Southern California, nothing really showing up here across the map far as recent activity goes. Some earthquake activity yesterday, which will probably be dropping off the map here pretty soon, but no swarms, no major movement, no unusual activity to note of. A little bit of activity across the northern end here, north of the Garlock Fault Shear Zone, the southern end of the Sierra Nevada Mountains. But aside from that, most of California looks pretty quiet for now, until you run into the Clear Lake volcanic field. Of course, we all know what sits kind of down there with the Calpine hydrothermal operations in full swing as we speak. Pacific Northwest, things very minimal. Only a couple small microquakes up here. Let's go ahead and check out the tremor map tonight. Cascadia tremor along the subduction zone. Medford, Oregon hits the map again tonight. Underneath Medford, of course, about 40 kilometers or so below your feet. Got some tremor kicking up down there into the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. Haven't really seen any earthquake activity up here, but we know when this tremor activity takes place, it's definitely building strain up along that locked area. The rest of the North American plate through the states looks pretty quiet, folks. There's not a whole lot going on eastward or into portions of Canada. Alaska has relatively been quiet as well. Only very minimal microquakes across the area. Same for the Mexico area, but on the earthquake 3D globe, I want to bring this up here real quick. We're noticing a little swarming here, some older movement, a couple threes kicking off here, just off the coast of the Baja California area, and a little swarm of threes. Notice that spread across the area of the Middle America Trench down through about the Costa Rica area. All seeing quite a few threes here listed on the map from the EMSC model. So there's some activity, and it looks like it's definitely spread out pretty significantly, but no major activity currently along the west coast. We did have some activity here into the Peru area. That one coming in just earlier this afternoon at 5.0, but somewhat deep there into the northern end of the Peru-Chile Trench, and some little smaller earthquake activity down south here around the Bolivia and southern Peru region. All right, further west across the area of the Philippines, Taiwan, East China Sea, all seeing a little bit of activity ramping up. But if you look at the dates over here, about 7 o'clock in the morning or so, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, my time, no renewed activity kicking up here around the Philippine plate. The most recent quake here in this area looks like it's going to be the 4.9 down here in the Tonga area, about 131 kilometers deep here into the Tonga Trench. The Kermadec Islands area, New Zealand region, I know there's not a lot shown up there on the USGS map, but again, they're confined to only reporting 4.0 and above, and a lot of times on the weekends, they don't really report it until someone looks at it. Got to have a seismologist look at it and review it and determine the exact strength, the magnitude and the exact depth and location, which in turn gets forwarded to the earthquake catalog, which of course is the earthquake 3D globe and also the USGS map. So sometimes they just don't report it because of the lack of someone looking at it. So a little bit of activity, it looks like, around the North Island, New Zealand area, 3.1 at, well, let's check out the GeoNet servers here, see what we have in this area for earthquakes. And speaking of the New Zealand area, so yeah, 3.3, North Island, New Zealand, 27 kilometers deep, not a super deep one. So the Hikurangi subduction zone does sit off here, off the southern edge here of the North Island, New Zealand area. It kind of begins right about here into this area. You guys can kind of see that there at the oceanic crust here. Notice the deformation of the land below here at the surface. You got the Pacific plate here, of course, subducting further west into this area. It's called the Hikurangi subduction zone, and at the end of this video, I'm going to provide a link for what's up next, right? When you're watching a YouTube video, what's up next? That's kind of what's you'll see. And of course, if you have autoplay set up, then it will obviously play it. But for those that don't, I advise you guys to watch it. It's a pretty cool new video in regards to the Hikurangi subduction zone and the potential of a megaquake out here along this area. Now, there's I think a 25% chance here of seeing a megaquake in the next, I think it was 25 years. Watch it. I definitely advise you to watch it if you live out here or if you just want more information on it in regards to the Hikurangi subduction zone and the megaquake possibility out there. They've done a lot of new studies. It does talk about the tremor that takes place out here. I haven't really been able to find the tremor, like when we check the PNSN network for as monitoring tremor along the Cascadia subduction zone. I haven't been able to find it here across the GeoNet servers. I would like to, because that could definitely give a good indicator of what's going on out there at the subduction levels of the Hikurangi. But I'm unable to find it here. I may be overlooking it, but unfortunately I can't find it. Maybe look around a little bit more tomorrow sometime. But either way, check it out, guys, at the end of this video. It's well worth a watch. It's not very long, but it's very informative. And definitely it's an eye-opener for the folks out there in New Zealand. By the way, let's see. We had that 3.3 8 hours ago, 3.2 South Island. Go ahead and check out the volcano drums here across the New Zealand area. And there's not a lot, folks, here. There's that that three-pointer that came in just a little bit ago. Not really associated with any volcano, it doesn't look like here. Closest to this area, this drum. I'm trying to think exactly where that's at. But nothing to do with Taupo volcano, the super volcano. There's actually not a whole lot showing up there on that seismograph drum. Either way, definitely check out that video. It's a very dangerous area. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I would love to visit the New Zealand area one of these days. But man, it's on a danger zone. Not only the Hikurangi subduction zone on this side, but you got the Alpine fault over here, the major plate boundary. I mean, this is just a very, very hazardous, sensitive area in terms of plate dynamics. One earthquake up here in Idaho. This looks like that's just coming in here. Did we miss this? Looks like a 2.7 there, Smiths Ferry, Idaho. I don't remember seeing that up there. Maybe it was. So on that matter, let me check Yellowstone and see what we got here for the latest Yellowstone supervolcano activity. A little bit of small microquakes here recorded in the last few hours and throughout the afternoon time period, but that's about it. No major swarms and no major magma movement. In fact, no magma movement, at least showing up here on the graph there at Yellowstone National Park. All right, well, what do we got up here? Starting to see all these oddball earthquakes. 3.0 up north into northern Alaska coming in, north of the Brooks Range. All right, let's see what we got here further west. Java Trench definitely showing some activity. Let's check it out on the EMSC globe here. It looks like some 3s, 2s, and some 4s across the area today. And some of that activity, well, maybe one of that is showing up here across the northern end of the Java Trench on the USGS side. But either way, definitely showing a little bit of uptick across this area. It's almost always active across this region. Himalaya areas, seen some activity earlier this morning north of there. No further activity to note there throughout the afternoon time period. And the activity here around Syria westward across the Aegean Sea, all some older movement from yesterday and this morning time period. The Atlantic Ocean, pretty quiet, pretty calm. Nothing really popping up here across the area. Around the Puerto Rico trenches, another dangerous area. Subduction zones, folks. Those are the most likely areas to see major damage, not only from the earthquake activity, but tsunamis. That's the big deal. The tsunami tends to do a lot more damage than the actual shaking. But a little bit of activity around the Virgin Islands area and the Puerto Rico Trench. Showing some 3s out there today. All right, let's see what else we got. Gonna check out Earthquakes Canada. I know they don't really show any activity here on the weekend, but I still like to check them every once in a while for the activity around the Juan de Fuca plates. We got one earthquake here. It looks like that was from a couple days ago, 3.1 into the Juan de Fuca plate area. A little bit of activity right there on the Cascadia subduction zone over the past couple weeks, but that's about it there on that region. Nothing major showing up across the area of Canada currently. Again, it's a weekend, and sometimes those folks do tend to take it off. All right, latest information here from the Solar Weather Department. Spaceweather.com. Now, I am not using solarham.net for the foreseeable future due to a breach in their security. Earlier, when I went to their site, it took me to a very, very inappropriate web page. So that will not happen again until I can get confirmation that their solarham.net server is safe and secure. because that is not cool whatsoever. I've been using solarham.net site for quite a while, but I have removed them completely from my bookmarks from anywhere until they get their information and their server correctly. My birds are going crazy. I can hear them out there. So definitely won't be viewing them until they get everything all set up correctly. Solar flare activity. There's numerous amount of sunspots out here. 3163 still within view somewhat. 3168. But I think our main sunspot right now is going to be this area over here, 3169. That does harbor a little bit of potential for some flaring here in the coming days. Right now, it looks like we have a little bit of some aurora forecasts, a little bit of unrest up here in the northern Canada region, maybe around Greenland and Iceland as well, northern Alaska area. I'll have a little bit of percentage here. I've seen the auroras here soon due to a little bit of solar weather activity. Nothing major, but it is increasing a little bit there at the higher latitudes. Looks like here for the higher latitudes over the next 24 to 48 hours, about a 15% chance there of active conditions, and the mid latitudes a little bit less. Actually, active shows active here, 20 to 30% here for the mid latitudes. All right, less for the minor and severe categories. A look at the SDO latest images here will show the obviously some certain data links here, and this is the magnetic structure of the solar sunspots, and this is definitely the most updated recent map here of the sunspots. 3163 here departing us. So long. See you a little bit later. This one right here, 3168, I believe, is not. Wait, let me check here. Double check that and see where we're at, because see, that's kind of why I like the solar ham site, but I'm definitely not going to be visiting that anytime soon. 3168 is kind of directly facing us, but does not really harbor anything that really looks like it's the right home about at all. But this other sunspot up here is coming around the bend. It does harbor a little bit of potential there for some M flares. Notice the intermixing there of the magnetic structure, and that's definitely worth watching here in the coming days. I believe, let's see what our solar flare threat level is right now. It looks like a M flare probability of about 30% here over the next couple days. X flare is somewhat elevated, around the 10% chance. So we'll watch that here for some activity from these, definitely from those flares. Not looking at any major asteroids headed our way. Things look pretty reasonable, I guess, for Earth out here amongst some targets. Don't really see anything that's noteworthy here across the recent and upcoming Earth asteroid encounters. So a little quick announcement here, folks, in regards to our member drawing here that kicked off yesterday. We did the member drawing yesterday. And Albert Sanchez Jr. is our winner of the member drawing. And they won an option there of what they would like to win. And most of the time, people do pick the $40 either a Visa gift card or whatnot. And they have decided, Albert Sanchez Jr. has decided to donate that $40 to an individual who may win this other contest. We kind of got a contest within a contest here. And listen real close here, folks, because it's pretty important, and it's not that hard. If you want to win $40, this $40 donated card is open to all subscribers, all viewers here on this channel who are watching this video. You don't have to be a member. But thanks to Albert Sanchez Jr., they have come up with a little little challenge here. So basically, what we want to do is have an individual who is willing to submit an essay about tectonic plates, their intersecting points, and how swarms give us info in possibly forecasting future movement. So we're going to be announcing this here on every update and periodically on the channel, on the live channel, to get the word out. And we would like to give this $40 gift card away to someone, again, someone who's willing to write an essay about plate tectonics, their intersecting points, and how swarms give us a little bit of info in forecasting, possibly forecasting future movement. We're going to do this for about a week. So we're going to pick a winner. We're going to review some essays here over the week. And next Sunday, we'll do an announcement on the winner. And it's not going to be all that complicated, folks. I want you guys to send me that essay here to earthmastermail@gmail.com. We have a couple ground rules. 300 word limit is not that hard. 300 words. Got to remember spelling, grammar, just, basic stuff. We need to make sure that's put together correctly, and comprehension, and maybe a little bit of creativity in there in your essay. And we are going to be reviewing those, me and Albert Sanchez Jr., because this is his idea. Pretty cool. I think it's actually pretty awesome to donate a prize to someone else, to forward that to someone else. That's very, very awesome, I think. So we're going to be giving that away, and all you have to do is send a little essay, 300 word limit on plate tectonics. Send it to earthmastermail@gmail.com, and I will forward that to Albert Sanchez Jr., and we will go over that. We'll pick out a winner. Now, a lot of people don't want to write essays, so if you're one of those ones listening right now, you probably have a good chance of winning. So send it, and you'll have a $40 Visa or MasterCard, whatever you choose. Can even do a $40 transfer there through PayPal or something, whatever you guys want. But get that off to me, earthmastermail@gmail.com, and we'll do this here over the next week. And definitely a big shout out to Albert Sanchez Jr., our member winner, and very, very awesome of him to forward that as a donation. But there's just a little catch, and that's creating an essay, and it's not that big of a deal. So get that to me, and we'll forward that to Albert, and we're going to review it and grade it and pick out a winner by this time next Sunday. So you have a week to get that to me. And yeah, I can't wait. Really cool. I can't really wait to see what everyone comes up with. So I think it's an awesome, very awesome idea, and very creative. All right, guys. Have a good night. I think that's about it. Just stay warm out there. Goodness. Stay warm with those cold temperatures coming in to the Southern Plains area. I mean, it got down to, here in California, Northern California, here where I live, it got down to about 26 last night. And that's kind of cold for us here in the Sacramento Valley. But goodness, I can only imagine some of these temperatures coming up for the folks there in Texas, Oklahoma, that are really not used to that type of brutal Arctic air coming down. So definitely stay warm. We'll catch you guys tomorrow sometime. Get those essays to me. Not that hard, but if you want $40, I would definitely jump on that. We'll catch you guys a little bit later. Have a good one. Peace out.